it's been the age of Adrius. It has been that sort of level of dominance this season that has everybody on the back foot. But when you come to a circuit full of elevation change, full of tight sections, tight corners, full of opportunity for mistake to come into play, this is a circuit which on a national level will prove these drivers need international talent. Welcome to Oulton Park and welcome to this, the 9th round here today of your Lotus 49 series. Your Grand Prix legends are in full force today. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me today in the commentary booth is Ossian Puhaka. Bradley Cooper is behind the director's chair. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But Oulton Park, which is a staple of the national racing scene in the United Kingdom, but for those who haven't had an opportunity to see what makes this circuit tick, our GSRC track guide has all the ins and outs for you.
Welcome to Oulton Park Circuit. This British track to the southeast of Liverpool is a staple in the UK club racing scene, but has also hosted series as high level as Formula One a few times. At least with a small asterisk next to those events, since they were non-championship rounds. The history and the lore of the venue is as unique as the layout itself. But that layout is more than just the international circuit this place is known for. An incredible 8 different versions can be run, but they all range between 1.5 to 2.5 miles in length. It's not exactly a long lap around here. What it lacks in that realm, it more than makes up for in bumps and hills. On top of that, Oulton Park offers some very fast corners, so you certainly won't get bored. Turns like Island Bend, Knickerbrook, and Druids can be utterly fearsome depending on which chicanes are at it. But even the slower corners often involve blind crests or kinked entries, making passing a very difficult prospect. In modern day, the place is mainly visited by touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and Formula 3. But here on iRacing, it's quite popular with the vintage community. Needless to say, this is a track that carries on the British tradition of fast, old-school style circuits that challenge and thrill drivers. It'll no doubt be a blast for both our competitors and fans today.
There are some circuits out there that the charm of what brings them together is the fact that they've been largely unaltered. Aussie, this circuit has been unchanged since its 2nd year of operation in 1954.
Yeah, Jake, it's a mainstay in the British racing scene by now, and it's seen some unofficial Formula One Grand Prix as well back in the day. But these days, it's mostly reserved, as you said, for national series and historic series as well. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Lotus 49 fares around here. But it is the kind of track that drivers absolutely adore. It's a driver's circuit. It's a difficult circuit. It's very easy to make a mistake and very difficult to get the lap just right. Let's see who does best.
It's going to be a no chicanes layout here today, although we do show chicanes here on the track map. Of course, they'll skip Britons, they'll skip Hislops, and they'll go flying up and over the hilltop and into Knickerbrook Corner. That might be one of the key places to get it done today. So too will be the run-up at Lodge and, of course, the bank corner of Shell Oil's Corner. Those are the places on this 4.33-kilometer circuit where opportunities can be found in terms of getting it all together. But let's talk championship for the moment, because this has been a season where there has been one driver above all else, and that, Aussie, has been Audrius Valentaius.
Absolutely, the Lithuanian driver on a roll this season. You can just look at the gap, and I don't think that even does it full justice. 41 points ahead of Sepp Tixier, who is sadly not driving today, feeling a little bit under the weather, we're hearing from the pit lane reports. So Sepp doesn't have a chance to claw that gap in. Jorge Nieva in 3rd place then, and Togo Hisada 4th. Tixier and Hisada, they are former champions in this series. That's how overpowered Valentaius is.
Yep, he's certainly been flying. We've got drivers like Kevin Verbruggen on his first F1 driver standing season. He's in 6th, having a great run, likes of Bob Woodhouse as well, making good progress with David Rossi and Gary Ho in 10th position. Let's take a look at the F2 standings as well, because they will be really important to keep in mind lower down in the field. It's Michael Grissinger who's got control of that by 16 over Kurt Clapper. Mats Linden finds himself in 3rd ahead of Jem Matzan. You've then got Jonathan Jourdain in 5th position, Roberto Pangrazzi in 6th, Jan Stefan, David Tomaski, Tobias Hanvi, and Matthew Nelson making up the top 10. The final drivers 8th, 9th, and 10th split by just 1 championship point. But Ozzy, this is an iRacing official race at its core and crux, which means that over 24 laps today, this is going to be as simple as your ABCs.
Yeah, I mean, it's A, B, C, E, G, etc., right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be one of those races. So 24 laps here today, and the limits of what they've got to deal with are exactly the same. We do have the Cup of Nations to talk about here. Spain, of course, on top, and they're on top by 30 points. Japan find themselves then just 11 points back, with the United States and Lithuania pretty much on their own in 5th position. The United Kingdom are 6th ahead of the Netherlands, who find themselves not banned like they have been in Eurovision today, with Italy in 8th position, Germany in 9th, and Denmark rounding out the top 10 overall in the Cup of Nations standings. But as we were talking about, 24 laps, open setup here, Aussie, and of course, the drive-through at 17, the DQ at 25, as with every iRacing official server.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is an iRacing official race. You got no spare car either, so if you bin it, you buy it, so to speak. And with these cars, you might buy the plot as well, knowing the safety standards of this time. Thankfully, not a worry in sim racing. So I don't think the incident count is going to really come into play, considering it's grass runoffs, gravel runoffs most of the time. If you put the car off the track here, you're going to find a wall pretty soon to put it into as well. And as a result of that, can't really shortcut here too much. But yeah, it's an important information. And 24 laps means a lot of concentration. There's really not much time to relax here with these cars, as the qualifying is starting to conclude.
Yep, it has, which means we can now take you over to the starting grid, and it is a former champion in Togo Hisada who is on the pole position, a 124.022. The championship leader, Aldrius Valentias, 9,000 iRating alongside him on that front row. Kevin Verbruggen will go from 3rd alongside Glenn Becker, with the 3rd row consisting of Jorge Nieva and Gary Ho. John Olsen starts 7th with Steve Morris in 8th place. Marco Antonio Lopez goes from 9th, and Bob Woodhouse has it all to do from 10th.
Yes, and then you look at the next page and we find David Rossi starting in 11th place. Behind him, Xavier Sanchez. Then it's Roberto Pancrazzi and Tobias Hernvi. You got Cam Porter in 15th place and Robert Plumley 16th. Michael Grissinger in 17th, ahead of Björn Ackerman, Alex Otero, and Mats Linden.
That row 9 is really interesting because you've got a former champion and the current F2 championship leader. You then have Matthew Maudsley and Alan Graham on row 11. Jonathan Jourdain goes from 23rd along with Jem Matzan. You've then got Matthew Nelson and Andres Bruno. Kurt Clapper starts 27th along with John Davey, the last driver to set a time, with Timothy Porter and Jake Evans, the last drivers with representative times out there. The one driver over the page is David Tomaszki, who will go from 31st position on the grid, with it all to go from there. And those drivers near the back will be starting right down in the dip and will have to climb the dearly for the start. Just how long the run is here at the start of Oulton Park, which is notorious for having very minimal grid stalls here compared to other circuits on the iRacing calendar out there. So this would have been a track which would have been very easy to split compared to some others. Onto the grid then is Togo Hisada and Aldrius Valentias at the front. They know that after 2 minutes, anyone who has not gridded up is going from pit lane. That might not be a bad decision here today. The run to Old Hall Corner will mean everything. Lights on here at Oulton Park, lights out, and we are underway. It's not the greatest start in the world by Kevin Verbruggen, but he will cover it off in towards the opening section. Hesada unchallenged, then through Old Hall Corner, and the run through the avenue towards the Cascade, as they will now look to descend down the hill, and those cold tyres, those cold brakes, going to be important as they take the challenge now around the lakeside towards the Shell Oils Corner.
What a beautiful start. I think everybody made it through clean, Jake. Just everybody. Look at this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this is wonderful as they hit the brakes, the banked right-hander at the Shell Oils Corner, and then that long drive up over the hilltop towards Knickerbrook. Right now, the top two trying to break away as we focus on board with Aldrius Valentines, the championship leader, as he thinks about a look towards the inside here at Knickerbrook. He's not close enough to make that move, and look out behind because Jorge Nieva, with the boatload of experience, is putting it on to the reigning F2 champion, Kevin Verbruggen.
Yeah, and you have to be a very, very brave driver to make a move through there. Not quite pulling it off on the first lap, but this is very close already. They're not worried about setting their pace yet. They want to get those positions early and away, and I think Nieva is a little bit worried that he's going to lose the leading duo if he keeps himself behind Kevin Verbruggen here. So he wants to get a move done and wants to get a move done soon. Meanwhile, the leaders are looking a little bit feisty, I must say.
They absolutely are. Aldrius is looking here, there, and everywhere. We focus on Nieva right now in fourth as he tries to go through. Valentines happy to sit down the hill. Defensive line taken into the corner by Togo Hesada, trying to really prioritise getting that drive off of the exit here around Oulton Park, out to the Cascades, and now through this lakeside bend, and you really do have to lift off here, down to 180 kilometers an hour, and then down to just 78 goes Aldrius Valentines. Through there, the Shell Oils Corner, trying to put the power back on, and we talk about slipstream, Aussie. It's a rubber band, 1.5 seconds, it snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And the slipstream is so powerful with these cars. You can look at the aerodynamics. They are basically cigars, and they punch a hole through the air, and you can follow so effectively through it. There is nothing to really disturb the air aside from the wheels, so you really get a benefit. As you can see here, draft battles going on in the back straight for 22nd Jourdain in that beautiful pink livery, I must say, getting a little bit of a challenge on.
Yeah, the Clay Hill's going to be interesting with Matthew Maudsley, and almost off the road, Alex Otero there in the middle, trying to find that way through at Druids. It's so easy to understeer through the majority of these corners, and again, wide went Maudsley, but he's able to cover it off. Otero doesn't have the run over towards the lodge then, as they will score a second lap complete. Togo Hesada with the purple check mark, saying he's got the fastest lap, but watch out for third position all of a sudden, because now you've got Kevin Verbruggen, who's lost third, lost fourth, lost fifth now, as Gary Ho down the hill can't quite get it slowed up, and now he'll fall into the clutches of John Olsen.
Yeah, Olsen's looking to the inside. A big slide by Gary Ho and a good save, but Olsen's looking to the inside, and that's a one-line corner with these cars, so Olsen gets the move done easy down the inside, as easy as you can do with these cars anyway, and there's just a huge huddle of cars, a gaggle of cars there on a straight line looking for positions. And mind you, even the straight lines, I must remind the viewers, they're not really straight with these cars, especially with undulations. You have to be really careful with the throttle feather it all the time.
Yes, you have to be so precise, and this is why this is a car that you can drive, but it takes an eternity to master. It is such a difficult car to master up the hill. We focus with Matthew Nelson behind, John Davey, Andres Bruno there and co, all there. A little bit of blinking in the back's not going to be helpful, and there off the road is Alan Graham through Knickerbrook, which is the most committed corner on this circuit, Aussie.
Absolutely is, and it's also one of my favorite corner names. Like Knickerbrook, it's right up there. It's a fantastic name, and Alan Graham goes wide and makes himself a toast there, really, for that position.
Certainly does. The name of Knickerbrook Corner legitimately does mean that they found a pair of knickers down in the brook when they were making the corner. So that was the why it got the name that it did, as Alan Graham looks to try and drive up the hill and look to try and move up towards 24th position. Aldrius Valentaius, though, trying to take the race lead away. They've built a gap of almost 3 seconds now to Jorge Nieva. It's a race between these two. It is Togo Hisada, the young prodigy from Japan, against Aldrius Valentaius, who has been, simply put, unstoppable this season. In only one start this season that he has raced has he not been able to convert to a race win. That was at Monza, where he took a 3rd place finish, but with non-starts at Okayama and Talladega, it has been him who has been above all else. And in his last 4 starts, Rudskogen, Algarve, Imola and Lebanon, he has converted each of them to victories.
And Hisada now taking a defensive line through there. You can see him just not quite using the racing line, afraid that Valentaius is going to throw it up to the inside, and looking to the last corner he is, but again focusing on the exit. And it is so important with these cars to get the power down, and you can hear it there as they come through the hill. Hear it once again, how the revs hop, because these cars do not have any downforce. In fact, they have lift. That means the car is actually getting lighter as the speed gets higher. And as a result of that, the faster you go, the less grip you have, which is an alien experience for most people used to modern cars, even simple cars. Even Ford Fiestas have wings. These things don't have wings, but they still fly.
Yeah, there has been an off, and it's been Glenn Becker who's gone off at Druids, so he's now dropped down outside of the top 15 now with that trouble. So he's got himself back in 16th position. Not what he was hoping for. We take a look at him driving in VR. That would have spooked him a little bit, but we will have to jump back up to the race lead, because now here comes the chance for Aldrius Valentaius trying to take the race lead, tyre to tyre, as they head to Knickerbrook, and he can't force the commitment because Togo Hisada is commanding the road.
Absolutely is. Hisada is saying no, not that easily, not leaving the space, but still being very fair. These are fair drivers, they know each other pretty well. So both Hisada and Valentaius know to give each other the necessary space, but not an inch more, and not giving up easily. Hisada hasn't had the best of seasons so far, mind you. He's been very unlucky. So this is a chance to turn the tides and take the fight to the man who is challenging. It's not David versus Goliath, mind you, because Hisada, a former champion of the series, can't really be called David, but he's been the underdog this season. He hasn't had quite the commanding pace that he perhaps had in the previous seasons. And Valentaius, as we well established, has been the one controlling this series. So Hisada, not only is he the underdog, but he is also now in a position where he wants to prove himself and to prove to the world that it's not Valentaius who is the only one capable of winning races in this series. There, he can be beaten. It just takes dedication, commitment, and great skill. And most importantly, it takes bravery. Let's put it that way.
It certainly does, and Aldrius has been in the mirrors of Togo Hisada right from the word go. Look at the speed he carries there through Knickerbrook, now running up the clay hill towards the water tower corner, and now in towards Druids, which has always been narrow through this section from Togo Hisada, which leads me to believe that Lodge might be the place where Valentaius can get this move. Over to the middle of the circuit, just about covering off the defense there is Togo Hisada. He is doing just enough, and I mean just enough. He is just covering every single place he can. Hard to the inside, knows he's not going to be covered. He's using that one movement over the circuit as much as he can, but that's a missed apex through the opening corner. Might be a chance down the avenue in towards the Cascades, but no. Togo heavy again on the defense, sliding it into the corner with that traditionally loose setup of his.
Yeah, and you can just see how good Togo Hisada is on the brakes. As close as Valentaius has been getting, he just has no answer in the brakes for Togo Hisada. So it's gonna have to be a better exit from the corner, and then making a move on a straight line and getting ahead before the braking zone. Because as long as they are overlapping side by side into the braking zone, I do believe Togo Hisada has a chance. And once again, Togo not giving up the inside.
He's definitely not. He absolutely covers that line. And now look at him, blocks on the apex. You couldn't park a bus better than Jose Mourinho, trying to make sure that one wasn't going to go through. absolutely sensational defense again. He has just got the car in all the right places, and this is a really tactical game of chess between Hisada and Valentias. It's like watching Carlson and Gukesh go at it.
Yeah, I was thinking more Sean Dyke, personally, there, with parking the bus and using more traditional strategies. But yeah, so Valentias once again, look at that
this.
to the inside.
Whoa, what an attempt as he tries to get it unlocked over the deer leap into Old Hall corner. He can't find the angle, but he's now trying to go for places that are unconventional here to unsettle Togo Hisada in this race. These two, mind you, while they're doing that, are still pulling away, are still building that gap. They are doing an incredible job here of just putting on a clinic at the 1/3 stage.
Yeah, the next driver who is matching their pace, John Oulton in 5th place, who is in turn being harassed by Gary Ho. And then you got a couple of fast guys in Bob Woodhouse and Xavier Sanchez behind them, who are almost a second slower than the leaders, despite being fast guys. And once again, Hisada blocking off the inside a little bit better this time, taking the whole inside instead of half of it.
Yeah, Olsen doing well then in terms of his cover, but Valentias is going to try and go around the outside. He doesn't get there. But you've still got Olsen. He's holding off Gary Ho. He's having a great drive here in this 5th and 6th position that we're focusing on screen currently as they drive up the hill. And again, Valentias is trying to prioritize the exit out of the corner, trying to get an advantage up through the cadences, up through the KPH. So he's got an extra 1, an extra 2 that gets himself there. And again, he will look to unlock it through the deer leap. But once more, Togo Hisada over to the right-hand side. Has he covered it? Search again then from Aldris, but once more, he can't quite find it. Hisada will be sweating at this moment with how much trouble he's in. Speaking of trouble, I think that's Bjorn Ackerman out of the race.
Yeah, Bjorn Ackerman was in a good position now out of the race, and that's not what you want. But speaking of Hisada and his defense, something interesting that I think Valentius noticed on the main straight is that when Togo goes to the inside, oftentimes, for example, in that long run up from here, you can see Hisada taking a defensive line, or rather racing line, then taking a defensive line halfway through the track. So he's leaving a car width on the inside, and that is something you can dive into if you're very brave. Same thing on the main straight. You could see Hisada just kind of starting to take the racing line, leaving the inside open. Maybe he was trying to bait out Rios, but regardless, he was braking a little bit too late into the first corner, compromising his exit speed. So if Togo starts to do that consistently, if he gets learning, starts to learn the fact that, oh, okay, I can only block halfway, that gives him more real estate and gives less real estate to Outriders on the outside.
Oh, and he tries it there at the lodge, but he can't get the turn that he wants from it. So again, Togo Hisada gets it covered off. Aldrius looks at Old Hall. He's not going to get there again. And once more, it's this dance that these two are very happy to do. Now, Aldrius cannot afford to get tangled up with Togo Hisada here. Yes, there is no driver here in the form of Sebastian Tixier, a former champion. But what you've got to remember for Aldris Valentias, even without Tixier here, he will still score by the measure of metric of there are 2 drop rounds in this series.
Absolutely. And another thing is they're going at it hard, and Aldrius is starting to look into alternative solutions. So what I just said about Togo starting to learn that he can only block halfway, well, Aldrius maybe finds that out too and looks to the inside that is open. Look at that. Togo had to make a second move to the inside to cover it off completely because Aldrius was certainly looking and seeing a bit of sunlight on the inside that wasn't there on the opening laps, and maybe that's where he'll try to go next time, or at least make Togo think that he's gonna go there and in turn compromise Togo's line to the entry of the corner.
Oh, and Togo Hisada through Druids. It is agonizing to watch, but it's effective the way he tries it. Again goes Aldris to the outside, hoping that the move is there, but he's going to have to really use the bottom of the hill. Look at him try and scrabble about with the torque out of that Ford DFV Cosworth engine. Cannot find a way to get the power down to unlock that move.
I think this month's iRacing, and I'm sorry if I'm jinxing anything, but at this moment, iRacing's top 10 for this month should be just this VOD of this race.
At this point, yes, because these two are putting on, simply put, a clinic that very few are going to be able to match. Aldrius again through the lakeside corner, trying to open up an angle here at the Shell Oils corner. Very difficult to do because it's such a short shoot run out of it. But again, heading towards halfway, Aldrius is trying to prove that he's got what it takes. But you've got to look up the top of the hill. That's where it gets interesting because they are so light over the top of the hill, and the way it crests, they are all loose, and they have to make a correction with the steering up over the hill. Aldrius is a little bit further away than he has been on the last couple of laps. He's going to give himself some time to breathe, reassess, and go again.
Absolutely, and that is so important to give yourself a mental break when you've been battling for 10 laps already. This is now the 11th lap. We're not even halfway through this race. So you don't want to get too desperate. Aldrius does well to remember that there is still time, and time is so far his friend. Togo has been able to defend for now 11 laps. Can he do it for another 13? That is really, really the question here. And I think Aldrius is betting on the no department. And remember, it only takes one mistake from Togo. That being said, we can't rule out Togo's pace. Mind you, he was faster in qualifying, and that's why we are in this position. But so far, it's been an excellent battle between these two drivers. And just look at the way these cars are handling over the bumps. They're just bouncing, and that's only gonna get wilder as the cars get lighter over the course of this race.
Well, this is just some beautiful action right now, and Aldrius is trying to force Togo Hesada to the inside of every single corner. He is threatening every time that he can make a move up the crest. That's where the slipstream comes into play. Aldrius looking for around the outside of Knickerbrook. Has he got the commitment to try and make it happen? He does. They'll scramble, but two tires in the grass says no, he can't quite find it. Aldrius is on a tightrope and he wobbled.
Absolutely wobbling on the grass, but he didn't fall. That's the crucial thing. He is still on the rope, maybe having to pick himself back up, but he's still there and he is still on time. And you can just see the moment you miss a line, even by 10 centimeters, even by 5 centimeters, you miss an exit a little bit, and you can see how much those cars wobble, how close to the limit those guys are all the time, constantly. And there's a lap car ahead of them in the form of Jake Evans.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting now, because against each other, they are deadpan even as Nieva sets the fastest lap of the race. But when you add traffic to the mix, what's the cocktail going to look like afterwards? That's going to be what Hesada fears and what Aldrius is looking for as a pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you add traffic to the mix, your chances drastically go up for an overtake, down? I don't know.
It goes left, right, up, down, slant ways. You can try anyway in the great glass elevator if you want to try and make an overtake happen, but there are brilliant scraps up and down the order. Heike 360 ES, Xavier Sanchez is up now to 7th. He's through now on Bob Woodhouse, that group with Steve Morrison, Marco Antonio Lopez, and David Rossi for the top 10. Is an incredible battle that we haven't been able to get to because they just won't stop battling here at the front of this field. Two legends when it comes to the classics are starting to get through. The new legend in Aldrius Valentias, and of course, you could call him Kid Lotus. Right now, Togo Hesada, tyre to tyre they'll go all the way to the lodge. The traffic might play the biggest factor here as it slides through, but again, Togo Hesada just with enough, and now this is where it's the question of can he find a defense, just about squeaking through Tim Porter, who wanted none of that as he went through. Hesada still halts.
Still holds, but you can see Aldrius getting more and more loose. He's wiggling over the back straight, he's wiggling over these corners, over the humps, and you can see the car just playing around. Those hips are loose like you were a tiny dancer out there, Aldrius Valentius. And I don't know how much Elton John they're listening growing up in Lithuania, but I know that he's handling it well so far, but that is causing him to lose speed in places. Then again, Togo is starting to make a couple of mistakes too, and you can see just how much Aldrius wants it. Just looking to the outside, not necessarily an overtaking attempt, but just a look to the outside, trying to compromise the exit, and I think it worked. He's very close now.
He's so close. It's the closest he's been up through this section. Once more, he'll look to the outside. Here at Knickerbrook, it's one of the most committed corners on the circuit, and if he can do it around the outside, he's still got to go around the outside of Druids to make it happen. He's got the inside here, up the clay hill, but he catches the curb and has to lift.
That is the danger there, because those corners are normally flat out. They're not flat out with this car, not when you're going side by side. And you can see how much the cars are moving around, right? Well, when you go side by side like this, you have even less wiggle room to correct it. So when you correct it, you have to be mindful of the other driver constantly, and you have to slow down where you normally would. Maybe keep it flat to the floor and allow the car to move a little bit. Here they go once again.
Half a lap, side by side, Old Hall corner, wide off the exit goes Aldrius, but he might have the inside for the Cascades. Togo Hesada's got to be brave, he's over the curb, through the avenue, and now the long way around. Absolutely nothing between them. Can he find an angle? That lakeside corner is all Aldrius at this point. This is incredible. Has Togo got an answer? He'll pinch on that inside line. He'll still have the inside as they go through. Aldrius powers it up to the outside. Still they'll go. And now it's a race to Knickerbrook. Simply fantastic.
This is unbelievable. They're still side by side. How will they wiggle over the hill? Can they keep it in one piece? Neither of them giving an inch. They jump and they still come. And now Togo has the inside. I think he's got it here. Maybe not. This is where it all started, and now Aldrius on side.
Aldrius is off, but what car control? He holds it, but he'll drop a second, and now Togo has a chance to breathe. He doesn't believe that there was contact between the two of them into the corner. He says sorry over the radio just in case, but Togo Hesada and Aldrius Valentias, that might have been the stuff of pure myth and legend.
That is one of the greatest battles I've ever seen. I mean, you've seen cars go side by side through a lap before. You've seen these cars go side by side through a lap before maybe, but surely not at place when there's barely room to go side by side. Like Oulton Park, there's 2 or 3 car widths. The whole width of the circuit is like 2 or 3 cars all the way around, and they still manage to go side by side. And not only that, but they do so at a pace that is frankly stunning, as we see now Bob Woodhouse and Stu Maurice try to put their best impression on.
Yeah, they'll certainly look at their race and think, what can we do in terms of finding a pass? Sanchez in 7th position, Woodhouse and Morris, they're 8th and 9th, and they can't afford to get too antsy because they'll allow Marco Antonio Lopez back in there, and David Rossi looking through as well. I know we've got another legend watching, Mick Claridge. He believes that's the best single lap battle in the history of Grand Prix legends. That is some high praise.
No, that is, I mean, Mick Claridge, for those who don't know, he has like 11 billion championships with this car, and he's seen it all. He's been there nearly from the initial season. He's been there for 10 years, and he still watches all the races that he can't drive in. He still watches them. He's still a mainstay in the community. So for him to say that it's the best battle, it's unbelievable. As we see a replay here, what's this gonna be all about? Oh, and that's the wiggle I was talking about.
Over the top of the crest, so easy to get it wrong, somehow trying to save it. That is sensationally done. What a save up over the crest. That could have been disaster in a heartbeat. Just like that. Watch out for the lead again, because lap traffic has not been kind to Togo Hesada, and Aldrius is back with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, it was Marco Salgado who had that fantastic save there over the hill. Very well done, but that also showcases the danger of this track. Now, I wonder what Valentius has this time. He's been able to show the pace. A 123.9 over the course of that lap. That is 2 tenths faster than he did in qualifying. That is a tenth faster than Togo did in qualifying.
Oh, and he's going to have a search here once again towards Knickerbrook. It's not been kind to him over the course, but now look at him try and find an exit. He almost pushes him through the corner. He is so desperate to get a run off of the exit. Aldrius trying to find any angle through. Togo has everything scouted. This is incredible in terms of defense from what Togo Hesada has been capable to do. And all the while, Nieve and Verbruggen are closing. That gap is down to 2.3 to Aldrius.
Absolutely is. And Togo there, that was a very interesting thing that he did on the apex there. He knew that Aldrius would get the over-under, the old switcheroo as they call it in some circles. And, well, he just parked his car at the apex. He made sure that he doesn't take the normal exit. Instead, he parked his car on the apex there, making sure that he was tight and making sure that Audrius can't slip under him. Instead, Audrius would have to brake. But that is a very dangerous thing to do, because if you do that among normal drivers, if you do that even among some racing circles, what you're gonna get is tapped around from behind and somebody saying, look, I didn't expect you to brake there. But Togo did well to trust in Audrius, trust in the racecraft, and trust in his awareness that he was able to see that, okay, the room wasn't gonna be open on the inside, I have to brake. And in that, he not only nullified the overtake, he nullified the run to the next straight as well.
And again at Knickerbrook, there's another thought then from Augias Valentias, and again it's middle of the road from Togo Hesada, just about covering it all off. He has got all the plates spinning right now, and all of them at verge of toppling, but he's got it under control. Augias is desperate right now to find a way through, because the gap now is 1.8 between himself and Jorge Nieva. The moment that ticks under 1.5, Jorge Nieva's latching on.
Yeah, and what would it be? Well, when two people dance, it's usually, it's sometimes the third person that gets all the prizes, and Audrius now looking desperate on the outside of the first corner. He might pull it off here.
Oh, that's incredible! If he can get it done at Old Hall, he's got the inside now for the Cascade. Over the curb goes Togo Hesada, and this time, can he push him out? He can! Augias Valentias leads on lap 19!
Finally, he was able to pull it off, but it's not over yet. You're not in safe waters, because now Togo's smelling blood in that same water, and he thinks, okay, I've been defending for 18 laps. The pass was done on lap 19. I got 5 or 6 laps to pull off and overtake once again, and now he's the one that's gonna get the draft. And remember how good Togo is on the brakes.
Togo Hesada has no fear, and now up over the crest, he slides it up over that brow, looking for it in Knickerbrook corner, straight down the inside, he'll go straight on, and Augias Valentias now, run away as fast as you can, Nieva around the outside over the grass, tries to take second place away, and as they go tyre to tyre, again over the curb goes Togo, looking for a chance, and there's the contact, Kevin Verbruggen will now try and jump through to third.
Yeah, Nieva wasn't having any of that battle, absolutely none. Verbruggen is now trying to make the pass to the podium as well, not quite able to pull it off. So you can see the difference in drivers there. Whereas Valentius was a little bit more conservative when side by side. I think Togo was used to that. He can pinch a little bit more, but Nieva practically demanded all the room there, demanded that he is gonna have to be given the space, given more space, and it ended in a contact that was not advantageous for Togo Hesada. Now we'll have to wait and see how Hesada responds, but I think Audrius in the lead is just content running away from this one.
He's got the gap he wants. Augias Valentias now can relax and realise that his race is in his hands at this point. Behind that, you got Gary Ho here, who's looking forward at John Oulton. This for the final spot inside the top 5. There's been some 2 very underrated drives between Oulton and Ho.
Oh, absolutely. Like they're running 5th and 6th here in this race. Oh, and meanwhile, on the second place, Togo's back.
Togo's back through, and that's Nieva who got the grass on the straight, wide at Knickerbrook. Through goes Kevin Verbruggen up onto the podium. That is an unforced error there on Jorge Nieva. He caught the brow wrong and found himself in the grass.
Absolutely did. I wonder if we're gonna see that again soon enough, but Nieva now going from 2nd to 4th, and here we see what happens to Jorge Nieva. So that's a mistake on the exit of the corner. That's a different one. So here you can see it, just getting loose. You can see how he wiggled, getting loose on the straight line, got to the grass, did a great job saving it. You can just see a cabin full of hands there as he was wrestling it side by side, these cars. No downforce to help you, just pure grip that you have to control at 2,500 kilometers per hour. Has anyone said 2,500 kilometers per hour? I don't know, but I just said it, 250, thereabouts.
250 clicks and that was about as scary as Jorge Nieves had it in a very long time. Kevin Verbruggen up onto the podium as things stand, but Togo Hesada will find himself back in second position and realizes he's got 6/10 to play with right now, with Verbruggen just behind. 4 seconds to Algis Valentines. Kiss goodbye to the victory. It's now all about whether Togo can hold on to that second with a driver who has been going from strength to strength to strength here in this Grand Prix Legends series and is possibly the fastest rising star at this moment, Kevin Verbruggen.
Absolutely, and Verbruggen is, podium alone is a fantastic result for any driver, but if you can beat a former champion in Togo Hesada in a fair one-on-one over the course of these last 3 laps, then you have truly marked yourself as someone to watch out for. You also get a target on your back for that, but it's a scalp unlike many others, and he'll be promoted straight to War Chief for that one.
Yeah, half a second now. Kevin Verbruggen is slowly clicking it down. I do want to go back to about 11th place because Cam Porter is having a really good race out there here today with Robert Plumley, the world of Kinducci, and Glenn Becker, who's trying to recover back through. These 3 fighting in and around that top 10. And as you know here, Ozzy, a GSRC shirt from gsrc.storenvy.com gives you 0.2 of a second extra pace.
Oh, at least, and you can see Cam Porter repping that shirt. And the good thing about white shirt, it doesn't show the sweat so quickly, because if that was a grey shirt, it would be black right about now.
It certainly would. Down the hill then at the Cascades, Robert Plumley, the Londoner, just behind. A veteran among veterans in terms of his experience in iRacing. Here is someone who knows how to make a pass, who has known how to battle, and now as they run towards the Shell Oils corner with 3 laps to go, it's a case of, do you want to make the move here? No, you've got to use the banking, maximise the exit, have the chance at Knickerbrook.
Absolutely, that's where you want to pull it off. Let's see how they pull it off here. Plumley, he's known to battle, but he's also a relatively clean and safe driver. Looking to the inside, then decides to back off, getting loose. And you can see Beckett there, looking to the inside of Plumley now, but not quite able to pull it off. So you'll have to wait for 1 more lap. The time is running out, and I don't have to tell you because you just saw him, Cam Porter, sweating bullets right now. This would be a fantastic result for him. It's not quite a top 10, but it's not too far off. And it's hard not to pull for Cam Porter here in this battle. In saying that, we are impartial, absolutely, and just enjoy seeing these guys battle. And what a good job by Volunteers and Hesada to hold off that battle a bit. Give a little bit of the spotlight to someone else.
Well, Cam's brother Tim is now out of the race. That makes 4 retirements, including David Tomaski, Matthew Nelson, Bjorn Ackerman, and the aforementioned. But here's the look in the yellow and the purple once again, trying to find that chance down the hill at the Cascades. Once more for Robert Plumley. It's not there, and it's not just about making the move, it's about timing it.
Yeah, and timing is even more important than making the move. You have to make sure that you get on the throttle at the right time. You have to think ahead so much. Like here, Cam Porter has to think about the exit of the corner and exit of the corner alone. He does it well. Keeps the throttle, is able to wait on the throttle a little bit. Not get on it too early, not slide around too much. Be careful through the hump. Go on it at a straight line. You don't want to be turning at all when you're going over that hump. Once again, careful on the brakes, get a good exit. Exit is the most important bit when you are defending. We often think it's the entry, but it's actually the exit to the corner. Because if you get a good exit onto the next straight, you don't have to be so desperate on the defense, and you're able to control the next straight line a little bit better when the attack is coming later. You have time to think, and you give yourself more room as well.
As they now look towards their final lap, which is currently being led by Algis Valentines. This is a race where everybody is trying to switch on to say, this could have been mine. And Togo Hesada will feel so hard done by with the way that his race has gone. He knew he had one opportunity to try and scrap back. He threw everything at it at Knickerbrook, and he ended up a little bit short when he tried to go forward as he scrapped back. The likes of Gary Ho and John Olsen will continue their battles all the way towards the end. This is the last great place to find a pass. Gary Ho can't quite get the angle on John Oulton. But what can be said about Andreas Valentines when he, of all drivers, had to take 19 laps to try and unlock the formula? He was unflappable here today. Put that as a 6th race victory this season. Andreas Valentines, you are invincible.
What a man. Shades of old Arsenal, and you know what? Fastest lap on the last lap. That's how we do it in the Vintage Series.
It is absolutely the way to do it. The fastest lap when you've got the least amounts of fuel. Gary Ho couldn't quite find the angle that he wants. Still a great scrap with Brod Woodhouse here towards the line. Steve Maurice trying to get there. So too there, as Maurice is just going to be short. But Robert Plumley is not going to be able to find the angle that he wants, as Cam Porter just about will scamper away. +4 for his day into 11th. Plumley will be 12th, and Glenn Becker will drop back to that 13th position as everybody now looks to make their way over towards the line. What about this? 22nd position. Andres Bruno, Kurt Clapper, Jem Matzan. These are the final drivers heading to the line.
And they might get one because Tobias Helvig is going really slowly, heading to the last corner ahead of them. You can see the car soon. You can see it in the middle of the straight here. He's doing 40 k's an hour because he's just been to the wall at Druids. So that means they have to pass him, and there's going to be a bit of drama for that. Ooh, so close.
Hanby's his left rear suspension had completely caved in. He was trying to desperately get it through and home. Unfortunately, there is a bit of contact there, and he should be able to get it through inside the time cut. So Hanby will finish, and Alan Graham, I think, is just going to pass him there over the line and take one more. That will be everyone over the line and completed. We're going to step aside for one moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll be back with post-race coverage after this. This might just have been the most difficult challenge that Andreas Valentines has faced in his sim racing career. Simply put, that was a spectacle beyond spectacles, but he was the one to say, I can stand on top of this podium here today at Oulton Park. It's his 5th win in his 5 starts, and now he realizes his 6th of the season. He wins by 3.8 over Togo Hisada, who gave a massively valiant effort here today, but was just a little bit short. Kevin Verbruchen would end up on the final stage of the podium ahead of Jorge Nieva after his dramatics heading in towards Knickerbrook finishes him off in 4th place. John Oulton and Gary Ho were together all race long. It was Oulton +2 who would hold off Gary Ho, and Heike 360 ES Xavier Sanchez would gain 5 today. He would finish up in 7th. Bob Woodhouse would be his main challenger in 8th as he had to deal with Steve Maurice and David Rossi over the line for the top 10.
And how about Cam Porter finishing in 11th place, +4 as you mentioned, ahead of Robert Plumley, also +4 in this race, finishing 12th. Glenn Becker 13th. His starting position was excellent. His finishing position not what he hoped. Roberto Pancrasi is 14th. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado is 15th with one great save in there as well. Mats Linden 16th. Michael Griesinger in 17th, ahead of Alex Otero, Matthew Motsley, and Jem Matson, rounding out your top 20.
It was quite dramatic towards the end as Kurt Clapper's group in 21st had to pilot their way past the damaged Tobias Hornby there in 24th position. Andres Bruno and Alan Graham would get by in the end. The first of the lap down cars would be Jonathan Jourdain, with John Davey and Jake Evans both falling a lap down, but retirees would include Timothy Porter, David Tomaszki, Matthew Nelson, and the former F2 champion Bjorn Ackermann retiring here today in that 31st position overall. We're going to take the chance, though, to talk to some of our drivers. Alongside Oshin Puhaka right now is the driver who finished off in 3rd position here today. Kevin Verbruggen is alongside him now.
Well, Kevin, first of all, fresh off the podium, probably covered in champagne right about now. We were focusing on the leaders for quite a lot of time, but your effort, starting in 3rd, finishing in 3rd as well, getting a podium here as the defending Formula 2 champion, you're one of the rising stars of this series. How was it for you?
That was a very fun race, guys. Yeah. Of course, I made a little mistake on one of the first laps, but afterwards I saw I was closing up on Jorge, and I was like, yeah, maybe I can have this guy. Of course, it's very difficult to overtake here still, but that did allow me to, to take my opportunity when he made a small mistake. But still, yeah, this is amazing to see Odris and Togo in front of me for the whole race. That's not something I'm used to, and does feel good. Yeah.
No, absolutely, but it was a valiant effort, and a 124.5 in qualifying. That's 0.4 of a second. That's less than half a second of Audrius Valentieus, who's been dominating this series. So a bit of a different question here, Kevin. Speaking to someone who is a rising star, Formula 2 champion last year, graduated this season to Formula 1, and now you're already grabbing podiums, half a second off the pole. What does it take for you to find that last half a second and get to the lead battle?
That's a difficult question. Yeah, I may have had a bit of help for this race with a little bit of coaching from Mick Claridge, but from that, yeah, I just need to see what I do different now than the guys I had. We do share all telemetry all, so I might want to take a look at what Togo is doing and others is doing and see if I can find those last couple of attempts, because first focus on getting more podiums, and then maybe if something in front happens, maybe win eventually, but of course that's still I had a bit of luck that there weren't many of the fastest guys here today, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Mick Claridge and his, 17, 18 championships in your corner, then that is a good place to be in, definitely. That's a good coach to have. And if you stay under his wings, get more of the help, I'm sure you are going to be a race winner. One of these days, one of these weeks when we talk, this or the next season. Kevin, if there's anyone you would like to thank, anyone you would like to say a hello to, then feel free to do so.
Like I just said, Mick helped a lot to find some pace. John helped made the set that I used today, well, with a couple of little tweaks. All the other guys who share sets and on the Discord.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
And then now I'm going to buy some champagne and listen to Carmen all night and party like it's 1968.
Oh yeah, that is good. Of course, it's 1967 with these cars, but it's close enough. Kevin Verbruggen, thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations on the podium and enjoy it.
A wonderful display there from Kevin Verbruggen. We're going to now jump in with Togo Hisada, ending up with second position overall. Togo, first and foremost, Resushori Bataru no Makairi. What an incredible bit of skill between you and Aldrius. That goes down as one of the all-time battles in sim racing.
Yep. Still, I cannot understand how we managed to the side by side of the I think whole laps. Yes. Yeah. Just simply amazed at how the Andrews do the the fair battle. The leave me a space always and the we have a internet internet racing, so there should be a make a net code hit, I think, but somehow somehow we managed it. So yeah, still still amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. We're just seeing on screen the moment where the race fell away for you, trying to attack back immediately at Knickerbrook Corner. Just talk us through then that attempt, knowing that Aldrius has been unstoppable this season, 5 race wins, now a 6th, and how much you had to really scrap in terms of knowing that the moment you give him a gap, he's gone.
Yeah. I'm trying. Sorry, my mate. I'm still learning English, so yeah, sometimes I cannot understand the correct question. But yeah, he's so he's so fast. So I just doing my best in qualifying, especially one laps. Yeah. In the race, you have to manage the tire, tire tire temp, managing tire temperature. But then in qualifying, we have not worry about that. So they just yeah, I'm very make a very loose, very scary setup, but yeah, it could be very fast, and sometimes I just beat the Andrews in the qualifying, but race is just completely there's still many skills out there. Very that he's so fast, and he's so he never drifted, he never overheated the tires, he never mistaken. He's very consistent, constant. Sorry, constant lesson pace all the week. So yes, tough to beat him.
Tough to beat him. Of course,
Yeah.
you're not here next week. It's the Nürburgring 24-hour next week, which is what you're going to be jumping onto. But let's talk 2 weeks from now then for you, because you'll be back at Spa. How do you think that's going to be a challenge to get back in and try and cement your top 5 position?
Yeah, should be a packed race. Should be a packed race like Watkins Glen or like a Monza. So it should be anything happens. So I just make the setup, preparing the the run setups, practice, and just play. I just I think the Spa is just a lot of dice. Yeah, so yeah, just yeah. I hope to beat him finally, and in the 2 weeks.
Well, the floor is yours, Togo. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, GSRC streaming team, of course, and my esports team, and the Lotus 49 community.
Togo Hisada, graceful there in defeat, but what an incredible battle he was able to have. The final driver we'll get a chance to talk to very quickly. Cam Porter along with us with an 11th place finish with Ossian Puhaka.
Well, Cam Porter, we are talking. You're not joined by your brother this time, I'm noticing, first and foremost. 11th place here, able to hold on to that position near the end. A great battle with a couple of fast drivers and 4 positions gained. How was the race from your perspective?
That was really thrilling. I really enjoyed that one. I know Robert and Glenn Becker are clean racers, so I'm not worried about them hitting me at all, and they're great drivers, so kudos to those guys. Obviously, the track's difficult to pass on. I think they both had better pace than I did, but I was able to just keep my car in the right place all the time and managed to keep them behind me. So it was a really fun, enjoyable race, and I actually did better than I was expecting today. So very successful race for me.
Yeah, it was. And we were looking at your driver cam for a moment here as well during the race. And I must say that as we are seeing you right now too, that towel behind you, probably for a good reason.
It sure is. I, when I first got this rig, I was racing, and it started to smell like a locker room. So I decided I need to start putting a towel on my chair to just kind of absorb the sweat. I'm just sweating up a storm here right now because I worked hard for that 11th place. It was a little bit disappointing to be outside the top 10, but did better than I thought it would. So success.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't far. It's only one position. So how about the rest of the season? We still have 3 races to go in this season, heading into the summer. So anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Uh, I haven't looked at the schedule, to be honest. I never look at the schedule until like the week of the race. So, um,
Well then.
yeah. Anyway, I was a little bit distracted. Uh, yeah, just looking forward to the rest of the season, trying to stay more consistent like it was today, and keep the car pointed straight. That's the goal. My goal for the rest of the season.
I mean, that is an as good of a plan as any, and as long as you can get it pointed straight, as long as you can keep it between the white lines, ideally, I think there's gonna be those top 10s coming your way, more good results coming your way. Thank you as always a pleasure. Camp Porter, everybody. Thank you.
A wonderful display of driving to get himself into 11th place overall. But the curtain will close here today from your Grand Prix Legends Series 2024 Season 2, as this has been, simply put, one of the greatest sim races we've had a pleasure of watching here today from Oulton Park. Want to give a massive thanks to the team today who has got it done overall, from Ossian, from Bradley, and of course from Dougie as well. You can catch all of the equipment that's helped get this show over to you, including the music found by June Lalonde. If you haven't had the chance to listen to it already, you can jump on Bandcamp if you haven't had the chance and get yourself an understanding of what brilliant music sounds like. Of course, we've got so much amazing sim racing coming up along over the course of the next stages. You can take a look and catch that on our social media channels, which you can see here right now, be it your X or Twitter, your Facebook, your Twitch, Discord. Of course, you can catch us on YouTube. That's where you're probably watching us, and on Instagram as well if you haven't had the chance to. Mark down in your calendars what's coming up across your screen, because we've got some amazing racing from some amazing racetracks coming up along with you. And you can also head over to our website and our merch store, gsrc.storeenvy.com, if you haven't had the chance to already. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, the age of Adrius is going to continue. And my word, does it continue with some simply sensational racing. Togo threw everything he had at it, but he was just one move short. Race clean, race hard, and we will see you at Indy.
Whoa.